Hi everyone, I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Today I'm covering compost and some eggshells. We had some questions from our viewers about how I use my eggshells to prevent against the slugs. And also I had comments that my compost looks very fluffy in the videos, so I had requests to kind of share in what I'm doing with them. So today it's going to be not the most glamorous part of the whole garden, or about the whole glamorous part of the garden, but actual big foundation of the beautiful garden. And so anyway, I have to go ahead and show you where my compost is located and how and what I do in general. So first I wanted to cover what I do with the eggshells. I don't usually place my eggshells into the compost. They are it takes a long time for them to really break down. So either you can go ahead and break them down and then throw them into the compost, which honestly it really will not make any difference. So usually what I do with eggshells is I just collect them in a bowl every day for a week, and then I bake them in an oven. So about 100 degrees for us, and maybe 200 degrees for the US temperature. You can just put them in an oven for about maybe 20 minutes or so. It dries out really well. Then what I do is just place them into the food processor and pulse them just a few times, and it gives this really great crushed texture to becomes kind of like that. So at this point what I do is just I directly use them on the soil. So any plants that are getting affected by snails, I just go ahead and place them around. So for example, just kind of I wanted to show you first of all it looks like from the very close up of it, so you can see snails really don't like crawling over this because it cuts them, and so they just don't come close to it. It is a very good and natural way to prevent your plants from being eaten by the snails. And also these eggshells are excellent for the soil. It gives lots of calcium to the soil, so it's awesome for the soil. So anyway, what I do usually, for example here, I just go ahead and basically like that just throw around the plants, and they usually, and then eventually they just get broken up and integrated into the soil anyway. It really doesn't matter if you place them into the compost and then utilize them that way, or just go ahead and directly apply it to the soil. It makes no difference, but this is what I do with the eggshells, and it works really well. And so for the compost, what I do, and I think because my compost looks so fluffy, is because I chop everything. So first I wanted to cover for the compost. I was very intimidated to start composting. My garden in Colorado was in the suburbs. It was very small, and so for me, I was so intimidated to even start. I didn't know what to do. So friends, my friends here in France who helped me to get started. So basically we have to have two components for the compost: nitrogen and carbon. And so the carbon is your brown, for example, the leaves, newspapers, or cardboard, and that type of stuff, wood chips, etc. For the nitrogen, it's the grass cuttings, deadheadings. I usually don't apply my grass cuttings into my compost. It's because I don't have great grass yet, and my grass is kind of mixed with lots of weeds. I'm actually really lucky to have the green as it is for now, because when I started landscaping here, I started cutting sections, etc. There's no point for me to start a good grass when I'm not really finished with my entire layout of the landscaping. And so For me, I'm going to just wait until I'm completely finished, then maybe, focus on the grass. So I really don't apply any of my grass cuttings into my compost, because when we cut the grass, it gets mixed up with a whole bunch of weeds, and some of them are no big deal, they die out, and then some of them don't, and I just don't want to throw any seeds and stuff into the compost. So that's what I do. But I accumulate lots of stuff. So anything from your kitchen, if you're making salads, any type of vegetables, fruits, you can all save and apply to the compost. Only things that you shouldn't apply to the compost is the fats, rice, potatoes, and you can put the potatoes there as well, and they eventually do break down. I don't like them, but also they do attract rats, so I don't put any potatoes, rice, pasta, that type of meat, or that type of stuff into the compost. So straight vegetables, my deadheadings, anything that I caught basically from the garden and the kitchen, banana peels, my coffee grinds, everything goes into the compost. And honestly, it's so rewarding, because it's amazing how much we save. Our garbage or our waste bags are so much lighter now. We don't take them out as often, because really, I mean, there's not much goes into the waste bags. Instead all goes into the compost, and then eventually it gets applied back into the nature, into the garden and the soil, which is awesome. And I also wanted to say, here in France, they're so conscientious about the environment, and they encourage everybody to compost. And they give away compost bins to everybody, for free, just so they can start composting. So that's how I got my first compost bin, and then I kind of extended from there and got another two. But it's just so great for the country itself to try to encourage people to look after the environment. It's really nice. So anyway, first I wanted to say that I collected a ton of stuff here already. Look, I deadheaded this is all my climbing rose, which bloomed so much. I've started cutting all of this, and I have lots of cuttings, like for example, this iris is here, which I am just getting to it. What I do is basically just, I'm going to remove them. They're finished. They kind of browned quite a bit. So for me, they are done. I'm going to cut them like this. And then what I do is just start chopping like that. And look, I already, just last couple of days, I've accumulated this entire thing. So the vegetables and fruits from the kitchen is the same way. What I do is just chop them. All the banana peels, I chop them and then just throw them into compost. It breaks down much faster and easier. So now I want to go and show you guys where my compost bins are, because some of our viewers said that they wanted me to show where they are because they can't see anywhere in the garden. And actually there is a reason for that, because I wanted to hide them, but they are in the backyard. So let's go ahead and go this way. So I don't know if you remember from my fruit trees that I treated last time. This is our back side of our house, and this is our house from here. And actually, I think this house was meant to be, this meant to be the front part of it, but for some reason they started their entry from the other side. That's where we get our mail. But this, I think they intended to be the front part of the house for some reason. So anyway, it's interesting. We still haven't figured it all out why, but I don't know if I ever mentioned that when we decided to move to France, the house was actually the indicator where we were going to choose to be. And so when we found our home here, we fell in love with that. So basically it decided for us where we are going to relocate, and we chose this town, which actually has been such a blessing, because this is an amazing town to live in. We absolutely love it. Anyway, let's go this way. And so here is So here is my compost. Here are my compost bins. So this one was given to me for free. These two I actually purchased. They are plastic. I wouldn't recommend the plastic ones. They were just inexpensive, and I had so much. I really needed more space, so I went ahead and purchased two. But this one was given to me, and if you can get something like this, do it. If you know, it is also, I know that on YouTube and other areas, it's quite easy to see how you can build one out of the pallets as well. And it actually works really good because it has a way for the water to get in, and water is a really important part of the composting, and I'll show you what I do. But first I wanted to say that I really haven't been this way much. We have been throwing stuff in there, and but I need to harvest because last fall when we went to the US, the end of November, I believe, when we left, these composts were literally overflowing. I mean, I had no room, and you can see that here in these two bags I actually collected all the leaves, and I had no place to put them, so I just left them here. But of course I'm not going to waste them. I'm going to place them all into the compost now to break down, which is fine. So anyway, and I collect lots of leaves, and honestly, if I had more place to keep the leaves, I probably could ask our neighbors if I could go rake their yard just to get the leaves, because having to have the leaf mold, and you know, it's amazing. It's really great. So what I do is usually in the summertime, obviously, we don't have lots of carbon, which is the leaves. So what I do is I shred all my egg cartons like this, and every time we finish having our eggs, I just throw in here. And for the summertime, it works really well because I have lots of green components to put in here and not enough carbon. So the egg cartons actually work really great to substitute for the leaves until the fall. And then of course in the fall I have lots of, you know, brown part to apply to the compost, which are the leaves. So first I wanted to see what's in there, because honestly, like I said, last fall this was almost overflowing. When we got back, I checked, and you can see it's like almost halfway. That means that on the bottom part is actually ready to be harvested. So what I'm going to do, usually what I do is I take out everything that it's halfway done or almost finished, you know, cooked. I usually just put them into this bin, because as you can see here, in this area, this is what I can already apply to my plants right here. I mean, they can, you know, it can cook a lot longer, but you know, they can still, you know, work fine and get integrated into the soil just fine. So I can totally use this right now. So what I'm going to do is take out everything that it's already done from last year and apply to this. Also, usually when I'm in the store and I see that they sell manure or something, I just grab a bag and then I just bring the bag in, and I also apply to this compost here as well. And so here what I want to do is go ahead and see what it's look like, the bottom part from last year, and I'm going to apply that into my almost ready compost. You see right here, this is all already broken down, and so this can go into my other bin. So what I don't want to do is have this top part. Okay, so this is all new from the top, which I don't want to use yet. This is not quite ready to be used. Okay, so however, this part here to me, it's already ready to go into the other one. So this will allow me to have more room to apply more stuff from this season. And in the meantime, this other already ready part, which I'm going to apply to the other compost bin, it will still continue to cook. But in the meantime, I'm ready to apply new stuff because for the compost, two things are very important. It needs to be stirred once a week or even a couple of times a week or every other week, but it does need to be stirred up. And also you can't let it get dry, because when it does get dry, it doesn't really break out. The whole process is kind of doesn't work anymore. It stops. And so you have to make sure there is, moisture in there, and it needs to be stirred up. But for me, I don't want to stir my top new parts that are not broken down with the stuff that is already broken down. So what I'm going to do is apply all the broken down parts into this compost. And so okay, so that's one part which I will continue, and you don't have to, watch me work here, which I will be. That's, later I will continue working. But here on this band right here, what I did is I applied all the leaves from last year. And honestly, when we got back from Colorado, I came down and to check, and I saw that it gotten so dry that it hasn't really broken down that much. So what I did, I went ahead and applied some water a little bit, starts kind of turning the compost. So you can see even just last week it already started breaking down. So eventually this one I will also apply into this ready bucket or ready bin, because that way it can start becoming a compost that needs to be applied already. So here what I do, I brought some water in my watering can, and I'm going to apply some water. Okay, and this needs to be done once a week. If it gets dry, you have to kind of check. Don't apply too much water. It just needs to be moist enough to really start for the process to actually happen. And so here we go. And this is how I do it. Lots of people have different ideas and they have different process for compost. But I just wanted to share how I am doing my own compost, and so hopefully this will help. It will help you guys to sort things out. But it needs to be 50-50%. Nitrogen and carbon needs to be 50%. I don't measure exactly how much I'm putting, the green or a brown. I don't. I know that, for example, I have a bucket of green, and then I know that I can apply the leaves that I have, or just the egg carton, and I know that as long as both components are into the bin, then I already know that it will work just fine, and it does work. I mean, it does work. There's no question about it. You can see, and this is just from last year. Look at that. I mean, this is from last fall. It's already working, and it's amazing. So, and then it will sit here a little bit more, and it will be perfect to go into the plants. So it's very simple, and it's not complicated at all. All you have to do is just have something like this and get going. Usually, like for example, this one is sitting on the ground. When you want to start this type of this variety of the compost bin, then you need to, when you start, you have to make sure you have lots of branches and twigs underneath before you start adding vegetables or stuff to compost, and it's to make sure that there is air circulation and oxygen on the bottom. So I just wanted to make sure you guys know that. So before you start, just add all of that, and then start adding all your compost the items that needs to be broken down. So here we go, guys. This is all for the composting, and if you guys have any questions, please let me know if I forgot to cover anything, and then I'll just continue to go ahead and apply my compost into my other bin, and hopefully this will go into the garden this spring and or this summer and start feeding all our beautiful plants. Hope you guys like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you find them useful, and have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.